What's up, guys? So what you're about to see is a video that for a while I had no intention of being seen again, and this is from a particular part of my life. Now, I'm not gonna preface this and say this is the most pleasant thing you're gonna listen to or watch today. It comes from a bit of my life that was particularly difficult. Now, the first question is probably, why am I putting this out now? A lot of people don't know where I came from. A lot of people see who I am now and what I do now, and you take that surface level. We see coaching, we see the competitive stuff, what I'm doing today, and that's all well and good, but this didn't all come from such a simple place. This wasn't all just moving forward consistently without any issue. This came from somewhere very specific, and I wanted to talk about that. I think it's important to share this sort of stuff because this comes from a very personal place. This is a very vulnerable part of my life, and putting that out there is particularly hard. And I had ways I wanted to talk about this, and I had certain things I wanted to say, and I'm just going to be very honest that this is something very personal to me. It's a bit of my life that is very, very hard to talk about. And so this video, thankfully I've done it once and I don't have to do it again, but I wanted to be able to put across that we can share these things. We can be vulnerable people, and we are within a community of people who will understand that and need to better understand that. In a time where it's very easy to poke fun at one another, to be a particular way to one another, and at a point where as a community we're trying to work against there being negative impressions on individuals, I want to show the impact these things have. So when you watch this, please do understand that this is a very difficult part of my life, and to share it isn't particularly easy. And I'll talk a little bit more at the end of this video just about some bits I think are important with this. Now, this is past. Since then, I am immensely proud of where I've come to, but we'll cover that after.
I don't know what I drew. I don't know where it really came from, because I don't think I did a particular thing. I don't think I looked a particular way. I wasn't particularly overweight at that point, but I definitely seemed to attract some attention. I think it's mostly because I wasn't willing to accept it. I went on from selling the meal tickets I'd get for food and making sure that I wasn't eating as much. That didn't really work so much because then I got into binge eating, but that's a separate bit. But the movement from there, from where I decided I was part of the problem, shortly afterwards I lost my cousin James in a car accident. He wasn't in a car, he was on a bike, and the driver made a very shitty move and took him off. And about a week later he died, and I didn't go see him in that week. He was in a coma. I wasn't to know that anything was going to happen, but all my family went and they saw him off and said goodbye, and I didn't, and that got to me in a big way. And I decided that I would have to do double as much work, and that still stands today. So whatever he would have done in a day, I have to do. However many lives he would change, I have to change. You take that onto a kid who hates the way he looks, has to make a change as far as he's concerned, because otherwise people are going to keep beating the shit out of him for a long time, and you get to a point where you're near going to kill yourself. You decide that if you're going to lose weight, you're going to lose it all. If you're going to starve yourself, which you don't say to yourself, but if you're going to start cutting food back, you cut it all. If you're going to exercise once a day, you're going to exercise for 6 hours a day. My brother asked me to go to the gym with him. So yeah, I kept that for a while, and then it was body image. So then all of the shit from being a younger kid really came about again, which I wasn't aware of or ready for. And in the fitness industry, you can compare yourself to a lot more. Like, if I thought comparing myself to my mates who were beating the shit out of me was difficult, comparing yourself to fitness models who have trained for 20 years is a little bit harder. I went for a run every morning for 5 miles. I'd eat maybe 600, 800 calories a day. I would go train for about 2-3 hours. Then I'd go for another 5-mile run in the evening. And I was dropping substantial amounts of weight. And then I thought that was enough. I thought, okay, I'm leaner. And this is the bit I don't get, the bit I don't understand where it started, and I tried to figure this out. It was the first time I thought, or did decide, that if I was going to drop more weight, eating less wasn't happening. There was no less you can put in your body. When you're eating 3 egg whites for breakfast, a can of tuna for lunch, and a can of tuna for dinner, it's not really a meal anymore. And then I decided to purge, which is the polite word for making yourself vomit, because you don't want the food in your body anymore. That's absurd. And yeah, for a year I would eat and then make myself vomit. And I'd do it at restaurants, I'd do it at family meals, and then I just remember being at points, and it happened 2 times where it was, well, if this is it, if this is what life is on a continuous spiral, if I'm not going to be anywhere near what James deserved, it's probably best that I don't hang around. Like, I should just be done with it. And then a mate of mine said, "You're pretty strong. Aren't there competitions in this?" And no one knew. No one knows about powerlifting. No one still knows about powerlifting. So I watched 24/7. I read 24/7, and I learned a good amount about what I should be doing. So I entered a competition on a complete whim, and I found the guy I was competing against was the current British champion, who I took his records eventually. But he was opening with 190, and that kind of put in perspective, I'm not very strong. So I had a terrible competition. So I trained for a full year, and the next competition I went back to, I broke a British record, my first one. And then I went from that to the next competition, nationals, and I won the junior class, which again was unexpected. No one had ever heard of me. And then the next competition I set 4 British records, the next one I set 3 more, and the next one I set 2 more, and then I went to European Championships and I won that, and no one had heard of me. And then I went to World Championships, and I didn't just win my weight class or my age class, I won my weight class in every age. So I was number 1 in the world, which is weird. If you find someone who's uninspired, it's not because they are uninspired, it's because their goals are impotent, they're poor, they have goals that don't inspire them. So if you find a person who wants to destroy themselves, it's because they haven't found something they love, they haven't found something they want to achieve. I have just finished my Masters 2 days ago, and I am far from proud. And I don't think I will be if I can ever get over the fact that James isn't my responsibility. And maybe I'll be proud. Then maybe I can be proud that I did enough for 1 life, not just 2. Not quite there yet.
Okay, so at this point, you should have just finished watching that, and I feel sorry for making you watch it, if you did. And thank you for listening to that. Now, what you saw there was a snippet of a portion of my life, reflecting on some of the more negative things that happened to me. I went through some horrible stuff. So what you see there is someone who always had a bit of a plan. It started to come to the surface there. I'd started to have a planned progression. Now, if you followed me for a while, you probably know that I have had reference multiple times to a 6-year plan I had, and now back into a new 5-year plan. And this all came to fruition because of the mindset that you saw there and who I was choosing to be. So the plan there was to be pursuing the coaching work alongside who I was able to start to be. I was competing as an athlete, but also I was trying to pass some of this on. I wanted to make sure that no one went through any of what I went through on their own, and I didn't want anyone to ever have to deal with that. Now obviously coaching grew and grew, and the intent was to be able to build a community so that individuals who it meant what it meant to me wouldn't be alone in that process. I talk a lot about community, and whether you love or hate the positivity I try to put across there, hopefully you have a better understanding of why I think that matters so much. In that point in my life, I was very much alone, and that nearly killed me. But now since that point, we've managed to do a lot of that. We have built our own community. We are managing to support all kinds of people. Now, whether that be extraordinary athletes, or whether that's people getting into sport to support themselves and develop as individuals, it's working. And there's always the plan going forward, but having done the things I wanted to do, I had hoped desperately to do at that point, this is a really positive thing. And I know a lot of that video doesn't seem it, but I'm immensely proud of how far that came along, and that everything I was talking about being able to do, we're doing. Now obviously it's me, you get the idea of who I was then and who I am now, and the fact that there's always a plan, there's always a progression, and of course there is more to go forward. It doesn't stop. It's not about just doing enough to support a few people. I want this community to be better. I want us to be above the behaviours that impacted me so horrifically. And this might seem excessively emotional. I watched the video you just watched as a reminder to myself just beforehand. This is more than just a job to me. This is more than a career to me. I consider myself to have an obligation to make sure no one deals with what I dealt with. So I won't ever agree with it, I won't ever defend it. I will always do my absolute best to make sure that as a community we look out for those people. That people aren't ever alone through any of this, and whether that be that it's your greatest success and there are a team of people behind you supporting you, or whether it be your hardest days and there are the same team of people to lean on. I didn't have those things on my own, and I'll be damned if I sit back and watch other people not have that either. So, in reflection, I don't know how some of this is going to come across. I don't know what people are going to think, but I wanted to be honest and put this out there. I wanted to show where I came from and why. I wanted to show that it's okay to be a bit open and honest, and rather than be scared of the response you'll get to those things, and it's not always positive, that's what we need to be, and that's what we can be, and it can lead to phenomenal, fantastic things, and that's something I hope that you take from this. And if nothing else, in response to this video and in response to other people, just be kind and let's try to move towards something more positive, because that's what I wanted to do and that's what we are managing to do. I think that's it.